So we set out on a mission to find 4 experts in different areas that would complement each other and come together to bring a comprehensive program to help people be successful in their personal relationships and their quest for love.
Hey there, lady. My name is Molly Conley, and I'm devoted to helping women reinvent their love lives, whether that's after divorce, dating on and off the apps, or in their committed relationship. Why? Because I've been there. I'm a former college athlete who filed for divorce 3 years into marriage, swam in the online dating pool into my late 30s, and now I am married to the man of my spreadsheet dreams who I met 4 months before the world shut down. As a dating and relationship coach, I help my clients shift the focus from being obsessed with finding Mr. Right to shifting to herself as Miss Right Now. We build a foundation filled with clarity, connection, and confidence, knowing she is worth waiting for. Each week on the podcast, I'll bring you love life insights and savvy guests, where you will receive the courage to release programmed, limiting beliefs. Discover patterns and behaviors restricting you from finding and attracting quality men, and ways to choose yourself first so you can build a foundation for a healthy relationship with yourself and a partner. Hey there, lady. Welcome back to Reinventing the Arena podcast. On today's episode, I have Shannon Snow and Sue Bennett. They are co-founders of the Smitten Project, where they believe healthy relationships are critical to happiness. I'm so excited to have you ladies here today with me. I was curious, could you give me a little bit of an introduction for everyone else that's listening here, and maybe even how you guys got started?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting us, Molly. We are so excited to be here and to share our story. So the Smitten Project was officially founded in March of 2022, but the idea came before then. I had found myself coming out of the pandemic without a relationship and a high stress job. I got on the apps, and at the time I was an executive, and it was just it was a lot of exposure for someone in my role. I was running into clients, into people that I know in my professional field, and it just really wasn't a comfortable conversation. I was looking into matchmaking, which I believe is a wonderful service, but it wasn't within my budget, and I needed something in the middle. So I came up with the idea for Smitten Singles of being meetup events. I had thrown that out to Sue, or I'd thrown it out to Facebook, and Sue had stepped up and said, "Hey, we need this in Des Moines." And I said, "Great, do you want to come along for the ride?" I'll let her talk about that in a minute. But then we started some discovery, and what we really found was that there are opportunities to support people wherever they are in the spectrum of their relationship, whether they're single, in a relationship, needing to keep the spark alive, or coming out of a relationship. And so our vision for the Smitten Project is really much broader than the services we're offering today, and we're excited to continue to launch new products and services as we move forward.
That's fantastic. I like the way you explained that. Just I could see the whole transformation into where you got there. So what about Sue? Tell me more about how you got involved when you said, "I will be here," once she posted the Facebook announcement.
So similar to Shannon, I am in a high profile role. I own my own business, and I've been single for many years, but I have been on the dating apps, on and off the dating apps throughout that time. And I moved to Des Moines, so I had no friends in the Des Moines area. I came from Omaha, and I left behind my family, my friends, to start a business. And I poured all of my energy and time into my business, but I really and truly wanted and needed a social outlet and a social life. I was interested in meeting people and potentially finding a relationship. However, my time is valuable, so spending time on dating apps was not a worthwhile use of my time. And so when Shannon mentioned this opportunity to bring people together in my community as well as hers and introduce singles to other singles in real life, I said that just that's exactly what I need and what I'm looking for. And I'd be happy to be a part of, whatever this might turn out to be. So here we are a year
That
later.
is fantastic. So how do you two know each other even to like get this started?
So Shannon and I have known each other for what, 8, 10 years, maybe 10, 12 years, I guess, goes way back. We were both participating in the team and training program for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. We both had that connection. We were on different teams, but we spent quite a bit of time together training. Shannon for a marathon and a bike ride, and me for a triathlon. So we learned very quickly that when you're training for something so involved, so all encompassing, it takes a lot of your time, and members of our team just became very close. And so we've remained in touch and have really supported each other throughout that team and training process, as well as other aspects of our lives.
And I'm going to jump in here a little bit. You see that connection through team and training in our programming within Smitten. So we recently launched Smitten Cares, which is a program we're extremely excited about. So 5% of our membership revenue each month gets donated to a charity. For the second quarter of 2023, we obviously chose the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society because it's where we met. But that core value of really giving back and doing good shows up in multiple areas of our business, especially through that Smitten Cares program.
That's amazing. And that's such a beautiful story too, of like how, even just looking at the relationship aspect of like women getting to meet each other and working together to do something that's maybe like new to them or for a good cause at the same time, like that's something that you can overlap into dating and a future partner relationship. So it's even fun to just being able to do that as a woman that's a professional woman and doing something new outside your comfort zone and making friends that way. So, and now look at you guys, like you said, 8 to 12-ish years later, and coming up with a whole new business to help other women and men as well find, love, as well as keeping the spark alive, like you mentioned, Shannon. So with that said, with the cares and I think you also have, there's Smitten Singles, but what's the other one? I can't remember that one off the top of my head.
Forever Smitten. So
Forever Smitten.
Recently launched. That is for couples in monogamous relationships. We're really starting with date ideas, but you're going to start to see some in Omaha primarily. Curated date experiences that you can purchase should be available fall. So we're pretty excited about that.
Fantastic. And then can you guys tell me a little bit more about the mission of Smitten Singles? Because most of my listeners are looking for love, either dating or like building the relationship with themselves so that they're ready to have a partner.
Yeah, so Smitten Singles is really about connection. I think, even though the company started from a place where I wanted a date, it's really turned into connection. So during the research process, which honestly, it's a lot of bad dates, right? Like, let's just call it what it is.
Yeah, that's so true.
It just really became apparent that the issues that face single people in our world are so much more than needing a romantic relationship. I don't know if you remember when you were single, Molly. I know you do a lot of flashbacks, but how many Friday nights did you spend on your couch because your friends had activities with their kids, or you just didn't have that network of singles? And so we've really taken the perspective of focusing on creating a community of singles that support each other. If you want a rabbit hole, and I won't go into it now, but go ahead and Google loneliness in singles, especially men. The pandemic was really hard on people that didn't have someone in their life to share that experience with. And you look at things like suicide rates and mental health rates. And we are big believers in therapy. We don't offer that, but what we do try to focus on is offering that outlet so you can be happy, so you can be smitten with your life. And that's really what we focused on.
That's amazing. Like, you brought up a really good thing. Like, a lot of people don't realize, first of all, going back to like how big mental health came, from the pandemic, let alone men in therapy now is becoming more widely discussed, which is fantastic. But that idea of being alone for the pandemic, what's really what's really funny is that I met my husband Brad, which you know him, Shannon, November of 2019. And then the day that the world shut down for us, because I know it's different for everyone depending on where you're located, was March 13th. And that like next 2 or 3 days, I moved in with him. And we were committed to each other, but we weren't like engaged yet. And we both have said that if we would have been separate, like staying in our own apartments, eventually we would have moved in together, or we would have been so lonely that we wouldn't know what to do. Like, would we be stepping over someone's toes or boundary, like all of that. So we could only imagine, just because my experience was different, how difficult that would have been. So I really appreciate you calling that out. And also like the fact that this also is for men and women. My audience is usually women, but it doesn't mean I haven't coached men before. I actually coached my husband. So he doesn't know that sometimes I still coach him. So he finds out later, be like, did you see that parallel? He'd be like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm not trying to, whatever, but you're good. So yeah, that's so great that you guys are coming up with that. And then I think actually, I saw on your website that there's different locations. Like you said, Shannon, you're in Omaha, and Sue, you're in Des Moines. So what locations do you serve right now, and what goals do you guys have for the future?
We're currently serving Des Moines, Omaha, Lincoln, a greater central Nebraska, rural areas. We're really trying to reach out to some of those communities because there's a great need there. And because they're more sparsely populated, much more difficult to bring people together in their communities. And I'm trying to do the same in Iowa by branching out into the Ankeny and the Ames area, and then some of the more rural communities around Des Moines. So we have aspirations to be in other states, other parts of the country. So we really encourage people who come across our information and our business who have an interest in knowing more about how they can have it in their own communities to reach out to us and let us know that there's an interest there, because we believe that we can potentially offer this service just about anywhere in the country. So
yeah, like you guys have mentioned, there's going to be virtual events coming up, which we'll get to a little bit later. But what local businesses then do you guys partner with in your locations that you maybe like have events or whatever you may do?
So we have a number of different vendors, vendor partners, including restaurants, bars, or some of these charitable organizations who are asking us to participate in their events. There's just so many. Shannon, I don't know if you'd like to mention a few in the Omaha area specifically.
Yeah, so one of our core values is supporting others within this space, and that includes our local vendor partners. So we try to find the best local partners that we can. We have really great in Omaha here. We have really great relationships with Pint Nine, Site One, Dante, Blue Legacy are some of our favorites that we go to frequently. We've probably partnered with over 20 businesses locally.
Wow.
We have an event coming up with Sips on 10th, which is a new location. So we're very excited to be able to do something early in their operations with them. But I think what we find is we're a pretty good partner. We bring people to spend money. Occasionally we'll need a discount to make an event go, but for the most part, we don't ask for discounts. We really want to support these businesses. And what we find is when we find a business partner who is really invested in the success of the event, like we are, it's a pretty good event for everyone involved. So we're pretty excited about that. I know you have some partnerships with hotels in Des Moines too. You have some different partnerships. So
Yes, absolutely. So we do a lot of our speed dating events at Beer Styles. They've been incredibly accommodating. We've done some speed dating at Doc's Lounge in Des Moines. And we also have had some partnerships with Rewind Hotel. We've done a number of events there in their lounge area. They've been very accommodating. And then of course the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, we just recently attended their gala for their Visionaries of the Year campaign, and we had a table there, and we were able to bring a group of our supporters to that event to participate and support the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Um, yeah, those are some of our main ones. I hope I didn't leave anybody out. I always hate to name names when you're on the spot, but
Well, I'm sorry to put you guys on the spot, but you guys did
that's all right.
mention quite a lot of great organizations from a variety of different areas. And it's wonderful that you brought up that like it's a win-win. Not only do they get business, and then your members get to meet other people, and it's a variety of events at the same time. I can only imagine like how that would grow into other cities, depending on what's available as well. So what are some of the like how first of all, how do you make events happen? Do you get feedback from members, or do you guys like have a brainstorming session every like few weeks?
A little bit of both, I would say. Um, Recently I'm under the gun to get some things on my June calendar, so that just takes some downtime to really sit and do a little bit of research and get on the web and see what's happening in our area and what our members might be interested in. We always welcome input from our members as well. And our Essentials and Premier members have access to a group chat where we're often asking, what's going on in our community that you would like to participate in, whether it be a formal event that we're offering or whether it be an informal meetup or gathering that our members plan on their own. We really do encourage that participation from our members.
That's awesome. And we've kind of like tiptoed around it. And now I feel like this would be a good time to mention like your memberships. Actually, I know I didn't say that I was going to ask about this, but I think it's a really good concept to let people know, like you said, you guys you aren't a dating app and you're not like a speed dating service. So talk a little bit more about your membership and how that works. Like you mentioned the group chat for the I think you said essential members. So whoever would like to take that one. I know it's almost
I'll jump in. So our membership performs a few critical functions. First of all, a membership model keeps us in business. It allows us to keep our event costs even to the cost of the event. So we're leveraging our overhead out of that membership fee to keep those event costs low. We do also have event costs, which sometimes people are confused about, but what that separation does is allow us to pass on the costs to the people that are really maximizing the event piece of our model. So it ends up being a pretty fair cost model for the client. The membership also requires an acceptance of a terms and conditions and code of conduct, which is something that is really important to us as a business. For many, many reasons, it's hard to run background checks in the dating world. We wish we could. Our attorneys have advised us not to, but that code of conduct sort of steps in the place of a background check. And if there's an issue with a member, if somebody is disrespectful, if they've contacted people without permission, that member can report that to us, and it allows us to take appropriate action, whether that's kind of putting someone on a warning status or up to termination of membership. But the membership terms are what really allow us to maintain the quality of attendee within our membership. So we think it's a pretty fair model. What you're going to see, we're going to talk about it in a minute, but with Unplugged, membership also does allow for discounts to events, and that discount varies based on the type of membership that people have. But we are starting to offer many more services for our premier members. And so you're going to start to see a service differential more than you do now in the coming months between the memberships. So we're pretty excited about that.
Well, thank you for fully explaining all the, like, how the membership really does work, especially that terms and conditions. I know, like, you guys have mentioned that you guys were also on the dating apps, and I never understood that either, why there wasn't some sort of background check, why there could be someone on there that really isn't in the right space, and maybe is not looking for the same sort of thing that maybe other people are. So I really appreciate knowing that, because I feel that safety is very, very important for dating. Like, one of the things that I have told my clients that are really interested in first dates, I'm like, there are things that you definitely know as red flags. Like, if someone's like, let's go hiking, be like, no, you're not going hiking. Like, do not go alone with a stranger, no matter how many times you talk to them. So some things like that. So I really appreciate you ladies mentioning that that's in your terms and conditions. But just like you mentioned, Shannon, I really want to even bring up the next type of membership or type of way to participate in events, and that is virtual events. And so would you both be able to talk a little bit about Unplugged, Ditch the Dating Apps for Good?
Shannon, I'm going to let you take the lead on this one. Yeah, this is Shannon's brainchild, and honestly, it's incredible, and it's going to take us to the next level as far as services that we're able to offer to our clients and to anyone who is interested in participating in this event.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I love this event, and I am so excited to be partnering with coaches like you, Chelsea, Alejandra, and Brianna, to bring this to life. As we mentioned earlier, our vision is so much broader than events. We really want to be focused on those opportunities to support people in their single lives. And we're not coaches, but we believe that coaching is a big part of that. We started offering some live events here in Omaha and in Des Moines, and we had interest, but there were some challenges. We're in smaller communities, so finding a coach that focuses on each of the areas that we really want to bring to our clients is a challenge. We're maybe not connected with them today. I'm sure there's some out there that are really great that we haven't connected with, but it's been a challenge to find the scope of content that our clients are just really asking for. The other challenge, and we talked about this, Molly, because you do coach men, which is why we selected you. A lot of coaches are really focused on coaching women, and we're getting this request from our men. So when we sat down to just really think about what a program could look like, it needed to be virtual and it needed to be national. So we set out on a mission to find 4 experts in different areas that would complement each other and come together to bring a comprehensive program to help people be successful in their personal relationships and their quest for love. And we selected 4 of you to come and talk about various topics. So we're kicking it off with Chelsea, and I'll let Sue chime in about Chelsea in a second, but Chelsea's going to hit Enneagram and how that applies to your relationships. And then we move to Brianna, she's actually a sales in the business world. She does sales coaching, but her expertise is effective communication. So she's breaking that down to communication styles within your relationship. And then we have you coming in to do self-sabotaging behavior, and Alejandra is doing style, so keeping your style fresh. And we believe that that each of you will deliver a critical tool that clients can take to apply to their lives. The other benefit that we get out of this, although not direct, is clients are going to get to taste each coach's style, just dip their toe in a little bit. And if they want more support in a certain area, they will have a connection that they've already worked with to reach out to be available to them for additional coaching services. So we're pretty excited about that. And the last thing I'm going to say, I'm not excited at all. Can you tell?
No, it's great that you guys are excited. I mean, I am too. So keep going.
I am incredibly grateful to all of you, because we know that, to be able to offer this at a cost that is less, we believe the cost that you can buy, even as a non-member, the cost of this program is less than if you would participate in each of these individually. And that's largely because the experts are such team players and willing to work with us on that pricing to keep the quality high, but the price within something that is manageable for people. So we're really appreciative for that. And I think that's the niche you're going to see us play, is working with our community to deliver really great quality programming that's just it's a tiptoe into some services, but it's some exposure that they wouldn't get otherwise at more palatable cost than committing to a full program. So
totally agree.
I'm just really excited to see how the different coaches and their message will build on one another. Starting with Chelsea and her Enneagram coaching. She's going to be talking with our participants about really how their Enneagram type influences their relationships, and knowing their Enneagram type and perhaps the Enneagram type of their friends or partner is important in communication, which will then lead to additional conversations that will build on each other with each individual coach as they go through the program. And the coaches will also be accessible through an online chat where our participants can ask questions and give feedback and even talk amongst themselves about the program. So we're excited for that interaction as well. And we think that it's going to be really engaging.
I totally agree. Like, I love how we have stacked the coaches in a certain order, which kind of just came about naturally based off people's availability. And being able to go from learning more about who you are as a person through a really fun personality sort of assessment. Like, I love the Enneagram as well. And now I'm like personally want to reach out to Chelsea and be like, can it change? Like, that's a question that I've always had about Enneagrams, but like, and that's a pretty common question I would assume that people have. But being able to see the dynamics between all the different types of Enneagram results and like how that applies, like you said, maybe with your parents or with your coworkers, with your friends, and then how you might be with your partner or future partner, or even like past relationships, and be able to see those different dynamics come about. And then I know Brianna personally, she had worked with my husband in a previous corporate setting, and she is very conversational. She is very easy to talk to. She's someone who just really loves building connection, whether that's networking or with different people for relationships. And so that art of conversation that she's going to share, like, I can only imagine what that's going to bring about, and how that would work in a dating or relationship setting. For mine, I have discussed the self-sabotaging behaviors that people do in dating, that show up in dating, meaning like there's dating patterns of either like falling for the same face and just having the similar relationship problems. And what that really means of like how you're self-sabotaging yourself from finding love. And that can actually apply, like I said, to men and women, but it does have some little moments of like reflection in it. And for Alejandra, I cannot even imagine how helpful she would have been when I was dating, like empowerment, dress and how to show up on a date. And like, I was a person, this is in a past podcast episode that I shared about anxiety in dating. I personally always wore black just because I am like one of those, I get so nervous, I sweat. So for me, like having her around to be like, oh, well, you could wear this, or you could wear that, or this type of fabric, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like how to dress me in a sort of way that makes me feel comfortable and empowered while I'm on a date. So I really feel that this type of program is not available anywhere. I feel that what the women are going to be bringing to the table is going to be, like you said, Shannon, like it is at a lower cost for what we each individually charge for sessions, let alone like programs of something in this nature. So I can't wait to get started. I know, obviously, I know a little more details, but when is this starting so that the people can either register, or when is it closing? Like all the little timing details.
Yeah, so we are really hopeful that this will sell out. So they should not wait if they want to register. There are only 25 spots available. Registration is currently open on Eventbrite. You can search for Unplugged, you can look for Smitten Singles. I don't know if you're gonna drop a link
I'll include it in the show
anywhere.
notes for sure, so people can grab it.
Yeah, it's currently open and it starts June 19th. It does meet for 5 weeks. We realize there's a holiday in there. So July 3rd I'm actually equally excited about it. It's a member mixer. And for those of you that haven't been to our virtual member mixers and they're new, so that's most of you, probably all of you, they are actually a lot of fun. But this is a midpoint opportunity that does two things. It lets the participants talk to each other about what they're learning and, lean on each other in a live way. But it also is going to let us interact with them and prepare for the second 2 weeks and see how it's going and kind of check in with them. So even though that's not a content heavy week, I think it's going to be really important to bring cohesiveness to the participants.
Yeah, that sounds awesome, because I like that there's a little bit of a break to actually discuss. And then maybe for those that maybe have actually applied what they've learned in the last like week or two, that's even a huge thing, because what people that have never done coaching before sometimes don't grasp is that you can have a session with a coach, but it is your responsibility to take the action between the next session. So some people are like, oh, I listened, but nothing happened. Well, you have to go take the action and apply what you've learned or what you've discovered about yourself in order to make those changes. And it's not like it's going to change in 7 days between each like session or our own virtual presentation. But it's one of those where it's like, you're going to have time to learn and test and see what's working best for you. And eventually that becomes a habit and you get to change from learning what you get from out of this program. So
yeah.
Do you ladies have, go ahead, Sue, sorry.
I was gonna say, it's almost like having a little homework in between the different sessions, but in a fun way, right? So you get to experiment with what you've learned and give it a try, apply it in your daily life.
Exactly. I always like to say homework, but then I know that there's people that are like, oh my God, I don't want to go back to school.
I don't want to go back to school.
So
we're always learning.
Exactly. Well, do you ladies have anything else that you want to add before we close out the podcast episode today?
No, but thank you again, Molly, for having us. We're just so excited to share our programs with everyone out there in our communities and extend our reach beyond Omaha, Des Moines, Lincoln, and the areas that we're currently serving. So thank you again.
Of course. Well, thank you once again, ladies, for joining. And I cannot wait to share this podcast episode with my listeners, as well as being able to have your members have an opportunity to like listen a little bit more about this. So thanks again for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have vacation on your mind? Yeah, me too. Catching some rays while having a little R&R is what I'm talking about. Some summer fun sounds great, as long as it doesn't include the side effects from boozy beverages. You know, the headaches, the dehydration, the horrible night's sleep, the hangover, and whatever else may come your way. Instead, try one of my favorite alcohol replacements called Moment. It's a botanical water, either still or sparkling, with no artificial flavors, no caffeine, and no added sugar. Instead, they have refreshing fruit flavors, healthy botanicals, and adaptogens. Some of my favorite flavors include blueberry ginger, spiced mango, and blood orange. Plus, I find them refreshing while hanging out poolside, by the beach, or lounging at the lake. If you want to give them a try, use my promo code Reinventing the Arena at checkout for 15% off. The link is in the show notes.